Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2022's Don't Worry, Darling, which was directed by Olivia Wilde. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Erik.
And you know what, darling? I'm worried. I am worried.
Why are you worried? Why?
All right. I didn't like this movie at all.
I'm the opposite. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot, and you know I did. And it's not just because of the Florence Pugh goggles, that because I'm obsessed with Florence Pugh. You know this, but yeah, I like this movie a lot.
Okay.
I'll explain myself.
Okay.
Why didn't you like it? Let's start there.
I'm excited. This is going to be like the Trump Biden debate. I just,
Which one are you? You Trump or Biden?
uh,
Who's more tired? I'm Biden today. Oh
okay.
man, yeah.
This movie was terrible. This movie was trash. So here's the deal. Very well shot, well acted. Yeah, I liked the aesthetics. I liked all that. Palm Springs, great. The houses, 50s cars, wardrobe, everything great. Everything great. The movie made no sense. There's so many plot holes. So up front, I genuinely think like, yeah, not a bad movie. You're not gonna watch this and be like, there's like a boom mic in it, the makeup's all fine. No, it looks beautiful. It sounds great. Love the music. Everything about that's great. It's the plot. The plot has problems. So we can get into it, but yeah, let's
Yeah.
let.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. Well, let me start with the stats because I'll get these out early out of the way because it helps my point. So this movie came out September 23rd, 2022, so 2 years ago. The budget was 30 million, about 30 million. The box office was 88 million. The runtime's an hour and 43 minutes, perfect timing for this kind of movie. The Rotten Critics score is 38, which isn't good, and the Rotten Audience score is 74. And with what you just said, is this the only time you've watched this? You've definitely seen this more than once, right?
I just watched it twice this week.
Really? Okay. So I've seen this like three times now.
That's the only time I've ever seen it, though.
I agree with you that the idea is great. It's shot great. It just the delivery. It's one of those movies where the delivery isn't perfect, but I think that helps this movie because it keeps it even more ambiguous. The ending, which we don't have to get into right now, but it didn't totally stick the landing, but it keeps it like an Inception, Vanilla Sky, ambiguous. You don't know, you ask questions, and I think you're confusing yourself with it didn't make any sense with I don't know what's going on. And I think there's a lot in this movie that if you like watch it, you can kind of figure out, and I can kind of help you answer some things. But a lot is up to interpretation. I do disagree with you that the acting is good. I think Florence Pugh carries this fucking movie on her back.
Oh yeah,
Harry Styles acting kills me.
yeah. I'm sorry. I should have said that as well. Yeah,
There's a scene that's like, oh, I gave this to you, Alice. That's like all over the internet, but that's not even the worst part of his acting. The worst part of his acting is when she's getting pulled out of the car. Remember after the dinner?
yeah. And he's like, "Fuck."
He's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Alice. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? This is like a, I mean, and I like Harry Styles. I like his music, like Sushi Bar, Adore You, good songs, man.
Yeah, I like it when he stole that bad finger guitar riff and then didn't acknowledge it and then got in trouble. That was cool.
Happens to the best artist. Happens to the best of them.
So yeah, his acting was very bad. It was like a different league. Like Florence Pugh is an amazing actress, and she was just outclassing him in every scene they were in. I thought Olivia Wilde did good, and I'm just gonna say this: I have a massive crush on Olivia Wilde, so I'm giving her a huge pass on everything. Like illogical passes on things. But I thought her acting was good in this for what the character was, but I thought her character had a million plot holes too. So
And this is her sophomore film. This is like her second film she's
yeah,
directed, right? What's the first film she?
book smart. I didn't see that though.
No. So she has her footing.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, like whatever, I don't care about the behind the scenes stuff, but I do think that is going to cause her problems in her career in the future with this, like
Let's take two things into consideration. The audience score is good, and this movie made money. It didn't make a ton of money, but it
it
made
did not
like
make money. It
the marketing.
yeah, it didn't. No.
Listen. The budget is 25 to 30 million. It made 88 million. So take the 30, go on the high end, say, all right, the movie costs 30 million and add another 20, costs 50 million. It still made 38 million. So it's not like she's like a flop. This is not a flop. This is a it did not make as money as they hoped.
Yeah, yeah, it's not like a huge loss.
They're walking away with like, okay, you get 2 million, you get 2 million, you get 2 million. Not as much as we
Yeah,
wanted for our investors. That's all it
yeah.
is.
All right. Well, I mean, I understand like the overall theme of like what the film is trying to do. Like, I mean, I get that. I get the plot. It's just there's contradictions throughout that don't make sense. I mean, there's like the whole twist of the movie at the end. That's a huge glaring problem that I'm excited to get into to see what you think.
The twist of Olivia Wilde or the twist of
No, the whole thing. It's like, okay, it's a simulation.
yeah.
My problem, I mean, do you want to get into that?
It's not really a twist. There's not that's what the audience figures out
Yeah,
early.
yeah, yeah. Like, all right, how do you want to do this? Yeah.
Let's get the drama of the movie out of the way real quick.
Okay, sure.
So apparently, Olivia Wilde came on to direct this film. The big drama started, I think, when Shia LaBeouf quit the film, or was so there was like he was Olivia Wilde's like, no, I fired you, and he's like, you didn't fire me,
Yeah, yeah.
I quit. And I think that started the spark because Shia's like, all right, well, I'm gonna air out some laundry right now, and he posted a video of Olivia Wilde pretty much shit talking Flo,
Yep,
and I think that was during filming still, so
yep.
that probably pissed off Flo.
That was probably right before they started filming because they wouldn't have they
Yeah.
would have had to do reshoots if they already filmed stuff with Shia LaBeouf. So
Yeah, and then the trailer came out, the teaser, and it was very sexualized. Like it was her on the table with Harry Styles. It was a lot of Florence's, sexier scenes, and she's like, "This is not what I signed up for," apparently. And she was
hmm
upset with the teaser or the trailer. I don't remember. And then I think the whole PR tour they did, like the all the festivals and everything, and all the premieres. Flo was like, "I'm not going." Chris
Yeah,
Pine looked like he hated to be a part of everything.
yeah.
There's the scene. There's the clearly he spits on Harry Styles. There's no CGI to tell me differently.
The other way
Or
around.
no, the
Yeah,
other Harry Styles spits on Chris Pine,
yeah,
and it's like, yeah, if he didn't spit on him, like, what was with the reaction? Like that's someone who just got spit on. Like, okay,
yeah.
I can't punch you out because there's people here, but that is like the craziest video I've ever seen. I don't even like if there's one thing I don't understand about this movie, it's that.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that went on behind the scenes. There's a lot of dysfunction. I mean, Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde started dating.
Yeah.
Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis got divorced, I guess, during one of like her, I don't know, she was
Oh
on
no,
some
no, he
stage.
served, and I don't think he served her, but
No,
his
no,
person served her papers.
on stage.
Yeah, which isn't what he wanted.
Yeah, but a lot of publicity came from that. So it's
Yeah.
like there was just a lot of shit around this movie that like hurt it from the gate, from the get-go. And
Yeah.
but whatever, like I don't care about that stuff, dude. I care about the plot.
I do too, and I want to get this out of the way too. I'm obsessed with Florence Pugh, Midsommar's, and I'll tell you my goggles. My goggles are she was in a wrestling movie, a WWF movie, and she's extremely athletic. There's a lot of scenes of her running and whatnot in this movie, especially up that hill that's a spiral. Athletic WWF movie. She's in a Marvel movie. She's in Hawkeye. She plays Black Widow's sister, and I think her name's Elenia. And she's also in horror, Midsummer, which I just mentioned. I hope, and this movie isn't technically horror. It's sci-fi thriller, and we've done things even further out from horror. I hope this doesn't ruin her horror movies. I hope she
No.
does more horror. I really want her to do more horror because I want her to be like kind of a scream queen. I really do. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So
She'll be fine. This
yeah,
movie, she knows that this is like a one-off and there was just a bad chemistry of the actors and the director. Like she knows that. She's a great actress. She'll be fine.
yeah, I agree.
Um,
And then that's all I want to say about that. So let's get into the what do you want to do? The plot, go through the plot.
I mean, sure. I mean, it's just it's a stream of randomness just put together through with a little bit of cohesion, but it's just I don't know, man. It felt to me like a David Lynch impression, and she saw like Get Out, and she was like, I think I can do something like that. Like it just felt like it was something. It was trying. It just felt like it was trying to be something as opposed to trying to be itself.
I think it was like trying too hard.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Way too many like, ooh, what is it this? Or why are the eggs breaking without the yolk? You got to think about it. We're not going to tell you. What's the airplane? Huh? Like there's too many things that you're like, okay, there's no explanation. But yeah, okay. So, okay, it's a 1950s-esque place.
They're in paradise. They're in paradise. They're drinking. They're drink. You know, they're in
Yeah.
paradise.
They're in Palm Springs, baby. I want to go there so bad, dude. Palm Springs apparently is like trapped in the 50s, like old cars, just beautiful houses. I want to go so bad.
Paradise. And
Yeah.
you know, it's the 1950s American dream, male patriarchy. Like that's part of it too. There's no doubt. And I think this name could have been called the male patriarchy, and it could have been called gaslighting, because this movie is all gaslighting, even from Olivia Wilde. So what was it getting at? So it kicks off with the husband, they're dancing, they're having fun, they're having a drinking night. And then it goes to the wife at home by herself, cleaning the house. And she starts to see things and ask questions and feel off. Like she's dancing and she's like, I don't feel like myself. And then there's also the other woman, Margaret, who is starting to, she's like, what's wrong with Margaret? And she's starting to ask questions before she starts asking questions. And she sees her kind of, how do you say that? Disappear, I mean, take her own life. And then
Yeah. There's a lot that happens in between her Margaret killing herself, though.
yeah, and Jack, Harry Styles' character, it works for a company called Victory,
Yeah.
which works with progressive materials, which is perfect. It's a great concept. Just like 1950s, that's it. I work on progressive materials. I go to work. I come home. I bang my wife, and that's it. And like that's pretty much what it is. And Chris Pine's character seems to run this Victory project, and what do we want to get into next? I'm like trying to think of the plot in order.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean we can go straight through it. So yeah, so there's the party, there's the drinking, the men all go off to work at the exact same time. When they do that, they leave the portal and they go back to the real world. And the women all stay home during the day, assuming their husbands are at work. And yeah, Florence Pugh is cooking for him, cleaning, begging him to stay home so they can just, she'll cook for him and they'll have sex all day. It's just, yeah, it's hypersexualized male fantasy, basically. Yeah, so Florence Pugh attends a ballet class, which I'm assuming is maybe some part of the programming where they're trying to keep all the women in like a hive mind mentality.
I think for her specifically, she loves dancing, and the last scene of the movie is her dancing. And I think that's where she starts to feel like not herself, is when she's dancing. Remember, she's all of a sudden her arm goes down and she's like, huh, I don't feel right.
Yeah, I think she does like dancing because it's constantly thrown like there's flashes of like 20s flappers dancing throughout the whole film. But I think in those scenes specifically, because there's this mentality of symbiotic, like all we're all together, we're all as one, like they do that chant or whatever. So
Yeah.
I think, and I'm putting this in there because I don't say this, but I think that scene is basically like the daily reaffirmation of them becoming a hive mind because like I don't know, otherwise they might start thinking for themselves.
Right. And when the women are home vacuuming and stuff, there's a radio playing. I'm not that
Yeah.
you that I even know she turns it on, but it's Chris Pine's character just telling them like how they women need to act, and how it's like, what is this? It's very culty, which is
Yeah.
kind of a stretch to call the 1950s, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is a idyllic version even of the 1950s.
Stepford wives kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fake. So basically, I mean, I guess the first thing that's a little off is yeah, Florence Pugh cracks the eggs and she notices there's no yolks in them, but she never talks to anybody about that. She just keeps it to herself. And then she sees Margaret, her friend, who's like acting weird and standing on a ledge, but she doesn't kill herself then. But she gets a phone call from her and she's just like, yeah, I went out with my son to the forbidden zone or whatever, and they took my son and blah, blah, and they think I'm crazy now and all stuff. So she's acting, irrational compared to everybody else. Then there's a big party. So they all go to Frank, Chris Pine's house, and that's like, this big event or whatever. And before all that, there's all these little like hints like, oh, we play tennis all the time, and all the women are doing this, and the men, what are you doing at work? Oh, I can't tell you. So it's set up like that. The women are kept subservient. They don't know what's going on, but everybody seems to be having a good time.
Yeah, and Allison Jack sneak off, and like Chris Pine is like creeping in on them, fooling around. It's like, what? Like that's
Yeah. So Chris Pine, he's the boss of all the men, and he gives this big speech about how important the women are for the project and how he sees potential in all the men and, blah, blah, blah. And for some random reason, Harry Styles is like, I'm gonna sneak off in the middle of this and go put on his tie, or I think he's putting on Frank's tie. And then Florence Pugh comes in, she sees it, and then they're like, let's fuck in your boss's bedroom right now for no reason. And Chris Pine comes in and sees it and doesn't acknowledge anything. So it's like, okay. And Florence Pugh sees him and then they move on. And sure, that's fine. yeah, so it's a big party, and then slowly throughout the film, Florence Pugh starts noticing things are up. But here's the problem: Margaret is doing everything that Florence Pugh is about to do, right? Like she's doing all this crazy stuff. She kills herself,
Ask questions, start to not participate, not be the happy wife. Yeah.
going to the forbidden zone, and then she tries to kill herself or whatever.
No, she does. She takes herself out.
Right.
Which Florence Pugh, we see her do that several times, including with the because she's like, "Am I dreaming?" I think she's starting to feel like, "Am I dreaming?" Because the wall closed in on me. Am I
Yeah.
losing my mind? And she does the saran wrap thing, and she's like, "No, I'm actually hurting." And she rips it off. Remember, because we learn later on, if you die in this simulation thing, VR headset, you die for realsies.
Well, the men apparently only. I don't. That is another thing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so she sees Margaret kill herself, but before that, Margaret says, "Hey, I saw a plane go down" or whatever, and so then later on, Florence Pugh is on this trolley by herself, and they're going out to the middle of the desert, and there's a guy driving it. She sees a plane go down, and she's like, "I'm gonna go out and see where the plane is. Can you help me?" And the guy's like, "No." Okay, so Eric, who is that guy?
I think oh, that could just be just like a character in the simulation or someone who owes Jack money and listens to the rules, and that's that. He could be part of the simulation.
So he doesn't get to live with his wife or whatever. He's just a trolley driver in a simulation. That's a real person.
That it keeps it ambiguous. You don't know. But you think like this whole victory project is we come to our world and we see people struggling and without jobs and stuff. And I think that makes sense. It's someone who's just like, yeah, I need work, so I'll be the trolley driver for victory.
Okay.
And he listens. He's just like, "Hi, ladies, I'm the truck driver guy. Everyone hop in." And maybe he has a wife at home. We don't even know. Maybe his wife is there. We don't know that, Alec.
But he still has to come out to the real world to make real money because he's not making real money in the simulation.
Maybe he's in deeper shit than Harry Styles in real life.
Okay. Yeah. So they never tell what this guy is, but
Yeah, but it keeps you thinking. And in the plane scene, I was always questioning myself, but I'm like, maybe Margaret got out and found a way to send Alice a sign.
no, but she saw the plane. Margaret saw the plane first.
Right, right. But like her kid had a plane, remember? A toy plane too.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a question that made me think. I don't know.
Okay, so Margaret randomly sees a plane crash. She goes out to the desert with her kid. They take the kid. Then Florence Pugh sees a plane crash, the same one that Margaret saw crash. So who the fuck's in the plane? But anyways,
Maybe it's the kid sending a sign from the real world. Maybe I don't know.
yeah, we don't know. So Florence Pugh then tries to go out to find the plane in the desert by herself, no water, no food, nothing, and somehow survives. And then makes it to the top of this mountain where the Victory Project is. That's where all the men drive to go to work, which is where they leave the simulation. She goes up, walks all the way up to this hill. There's no guards, there's no security, there's no nothing. But she walks all the way up there, touches the thing, and then we assume when she touches that,
Red ring of death.
she comes back to reality when she touches that.
Yes.
But for some
Yes.
reason in this moment, she doesn't come back to reality. She just wakes up in the simulation immediately after that.
Okay, I have something to say about that. Keep going.
Okay. I mean, go ahead.
No, no, no. I mean, she's tied to the bed. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. But she should wake up in the bed right there because she just left the simulation, but she doesn't. She touches it and then it just flashes back to her waking up in the bed in the simulation again with Harry Styles.
Right, because she woke up in the real world bed where Harry Styles has tied her down, and Harry Styles is still alive.
Right. So that means that Harry Styles would have needed to been awake in the real world and in knowing that she was doing what she was doing in the simulation for then her to touch that thing, immediately wake up in the real world, and then he immediately puts her back in the simulation.
I don't think he admit. I mean, it leaves it up to interpret. Maybe she woke up in the real world and was tied and was screaming for hours and hours, and then he finally came home.
We didn't see that though. So we have to
I know, but it makes you think that that's probably what happened.
okay, well we have to fill that we have to write that for ourselves.
I know, and I will tell you my like what I would have done to make this better, but keep going.
But yeah, so I didn't love that she's supposed to leave the simulation, but we never see that she does. We just see that she's back in the bed, and Harry Styles is like, "Oh, you were sleeping, whatever." And then she starts questioning what the fuck's going on, and Harry Styles has to lie to her basically. And they go to the doctor, and then she's like, Margaret was there, and then I'm there. And this doctor, which I don't even know why they need a doctor. It's a simulation, just literally brainwash her like you did initially to get her in there.
Tech support. It's Vanilla Sky. It's tech support. It's tech support.
You don't even need that though. Dude, literally, she woke up in the simulation again. She's under the impression that she met Harry Styles in Boston. They picked up a ticket on the bus. Like, she has this whole fake memory already built in. She doesn't
Yes.
know she's a doctor or anything. So they clearly have the ability to manipulate their mind. So why didn't they just manipulate her mind right there?
They have to be careful with her because she is a doctor.
No, but what I'm saying is just why do they even have to have a doctor come in and do all this stuff? Just manipulate her mind and with the program.
Right.
You don't even have to send in a fake doctor to trick her
This is
program.
part of the movie. It's like the Victory Project has been bringing in people that they're not afraid of. She is someone they are afraid of, and that's why Jack loves having her ask questions. Chris Pine's character.
Okay.
When they're at dinner, he's like, why? Because all that's doing is making the Victory Project better. So that's my take on the whole scene.
That's another little plot hole I have then.
I
So,
love it. I love it. I think it's great when things are going wrong and the person loves that it's going wrong because he's like, even if it goes wrong, you're not fucking getting out of here.
yeah.
And I am just gonna make this even harder for you to get out of here.
And I'm okay with Chris Pine saying that to her and that happening to him. Like, yeah, that is cool. But he's acting like this is the first time. He says, like, I've been waiting for someone like you for a challenge or whatever. What the fuck was Margaret then? She was just doing the same shit that Florence Pugh is doing.
Right, right. That's a great that I mean we it's an hour 43-minute movie. We could have gone into Margaret more, but we're focused on these characters, so who knows?
No, but he's acting like this has never happened before. He's like, I've been waiting for someone like you. It's like, no, no, no. You just had someone like her a couple days ago. Fuck are you talking about, Chris Pine?
That's a great point, Alec. Yeah.
Anyways, but he looks at Florence Pugh and he gives her that look when Harry Styles and her having sex. And then, when the dinner party when okay, that's it. Here's another one. Okay. So basically after everything gets readjusted, Frank comes over to their house for a big dinner party.
And she's drinking the Kool-Aid in this scene.
Well, hold on. Before the dinner party even starts, they're like, "How did you get Frank?" Like they're all saying to Harry Styles, like the guys are like, "How'd you get Frank to come out here or whatever?" And it's like, "Actually, Alice called her." And it's like, "Really?" So you're gonna tell me that Florence Pugh called Frank and was like, "Hey, come over for a dinner party or whatever." Why don't we see that scene? And then he comes over, and then there he kind of like approaches her. She's cutting lemons alone, and is like, "I've been waiting for someone like you." So what was the phone call? Very normal, nonchalant, and then now he's like gonna do this at the house. Like,
I don't know if the phone call was actually real or if Harry Styles was saying that or what.
sure, okay, why lie? But yeah, I mean, they're just fucking nerds in a video game. But sure,
It's like a R&D. It's like a research and development dinner, you know? It's like I
yeah,
want to I want to have dinner with Alice and I want to learn from her.
yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's fine. It's just the way it got set up. It makes it seem that Florence Pugh's character called and set this up, and I wanted to see that phone call, but we don't get to see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, really quick, I just got to say too, back to Olivia Wilde. So throughout the entire movie, it's Olivia Wilde and Nick Kroll. They're married. Olivia Wilde has two kids in the movie, and she does not like them. She is a chain smoking alcoholic, and Florence Pugh likes her kids more than Olivia Wilde does. She's like running up to them and hugging them when they get off the school bus, and they even say like, "Oh yeah, she likes them more than she likes
Mm-hmm.
me." All this stuff. Okay,
We learn why.
well, okay, so we'll get into this then. So at the end of the movie, Olivia Wilde comes out and says, "Actually, I'm also a person who's aware that this is a simulation, and I wanted to be with my kids or whatever." So first of all,
Mhm.
she hates kids clearly. So I don't understand why she even. What's the motive?
No, no, I don't think she hates kids. I don't think that's it, Alec.
Okay, she doesn't seem happy.
This is one of the biggest twists of the movies is Olivia Wilde loves Alice. I think her name is Bunny in the movie, Olivia Wilde's character.
Yeah.
And she loves Alice. That's her neighbor, best friends. They drink martinis all day while their husbands work. And Olivia Wilde in the real world, her kids died, two of them. We don't know what happened,
Hmm.
but her real kids died, and she accepts this victory project to pretty much mask reality so her kids can come back. Those two kids in the simulation are fake. They're not real.
Okay, so they're not real.
No.
Okay, so then what makes the bus driver real?
Maybe you're right. Maybe that he's not real. Maybe he's
Okay.
not real. But the two kids are not real, and or maybe they brought in two other kids to be in the simulation. I don't know, and that's what keeps this movie asking questions.
Let me ask you this then.
Yes,
Horrible situation. Olivia Wilde's children die, which in her mind, she's like, I'm going to go into a simulation and live with them forever. Wouldn't you think she would be excited to spend time with them and not constantly yelling at them and like drinking and walking away? Like, why?
that's the point. There's a lot of things that happen in this movie. There's lines. Remember the line when first of all she knows they're not her real kids.
Yeah, I know.
So that's probably why she's just like she's still trying to grasp it. She knows she's one of the only people in the simulation besides the men.
So then why even do this then?
I agree with that. Why even go through the trouble?
She does not seem like a happy person in the movie unless she's gossiping and drinking, but she's doing this for the kids. So why are you
Yeah,
even doing it? And if the kids aren't real, then fuck them. They're fucking computers. Who cares?
I don't know. I think it's someone who just won't like take their own life and just wants to do this instead and just die. It's like it's euthanasia without euthanasia. I think she's gonna rot in a bed and just live this life.
She can't though, because she needs somebody to be taking care of her body then.
That's Nick Kroll. And Nick Kroll also, there's also lines, I don't know if you ever caught this, but when the kids are like playing in the yard, you hear her yell at Nick Kroll, like, remove that from her neck. Remember that?
I didn't think she was yelling at Nick Kroll. I think she was yelling at the other kid. The other kid was strangling the sister with the garden hose.
Yeah, and I think Nick Kroll wasn't watching them or something
Yeah.
like that. So
Nick Kroll wasn't doing that, but he wasn't choking his kid with a garden hose.
sure, but ooh, it's like, yeah.
It just doesn't, her character doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I agree. And that's part of the thing I want to see more of in this film, and that's why the delivery wasn't perfect. It's like there's so much going on. Maybe make it like a two-parter or a series. I don't know. It probably would have been better as a television show now I think about it, but keep going.
So Bunny, that's one of my huge ones. Yeah, so Florence Pugh kind of like Chris Pine acting like she's the first when she's clearly not the first. And it's like, okay. And yeah, it's fine. He's trying to get research and development grade or whatever. So then they have this big dinner, and Florence Pugh goes crazy, and she's like, this, how do we know the food's not poison? This is a simulation, blah, blah, blah. Chris Pine's wife, who just freaks out and starts screaming at Florence Pugh or whatever, and you're like, okay.
Mm,
And Chris Pine walks away and he's just like, well, you disappointed me. I thought you were going to be more than that. And it's like, okay, what did you expect her to do? But anyway, so they all leave. And then Harry Styles, she's like, we need to get out of here because Harry Styles is like, you're sabotaging my career or whatever. And it's like, no, this is all bullshit. We need to get out of here. So Harry Styles is like, okay, yeah, let's get out of here or whatever. So they're going
yeah.
to leave. And then these men in red come and take Florence Pugh or whatever. And yeah. So Chris Pine's wife, is she in on it then? So she's totally on board.
Here's my take. This is a crazy theory I have. I think she's the CEO of Victory. I think she's in charge.
Why even allow Chris Pine to give the illusion that he's in charge then?
Think about the dystopian society they live. It's all men.
Okay.
So she's allowing him to be the perceived leader when she's actually in charge.
Why?
And that's when shit hits the fan at the end, she does what she does.
Yeah, but why do that?
Because men are looked at as they go home, they work on progressive material, they go to work, they work in progressive materials, they come home, they expect the house to be clean, and then it's just like it's that's what the simulation is.
Okay, but why would she be allowing Chris Pine to be in control, but she's really in control?
Probably money in the real world.
This is all you're filling in so many blanks though, dude.
I know, but that's my theory. I think well,
Yeah.
it's also a theory is like women also didn't help each other push forward back then in the 50s. They were like, no, let's stay like I like working at home. I like being not working out. I like being home with the kids. I don't want to go to work. I like and I think that's the idea behind this movie as well. I think women are also their own worst enemy in this film. Olivia Wilde's another character that is their own worst
No.
enemy. I know it's terrible.
No, because it's not right, man. Because the women
It's
aren't
not
aware.
right.
No, hold on. You're not correct because the women aren't aware that they're in a simulation.
Olivia Wilde is.
She's the only one.
No. She's not the only. She's the only one of the like.
99.9% of the women in this movie have no idea what's going on. So it's not that
Yes,
they're sabotaging each other.
we don't know as many other characters. I think other women are in on it, especially the ones that are telling these fake honeymoon stories and where they met.
That's because that was an imposed memory on them, dude. That's what they set them up with so that they all had
Okay. Well, that could be it.
these share that was even dumber because they're like you'd think that they would have more than one program of how people met. But they give them all the same ones, so then and they all vacation in the same place.
I think it's 50-50. I think there's a lot of women. I think they're trying to turn Florence Pugh into drinking the Kool-Aid. And Jack, and this is why he's interested in her because she's pushed it too far. Margaret, the person who took her life, nope, that's it. She's out. He's focused harder on Alice's character.
We should get into the biggest plot hole in the end of the film, basically. So what this is a simulation, and the men, for the most part, from what we know, the men are the people that are they've captured their wives or their girlfriends or whoever, keep them in their house and keep them in this simulation all the time. While the men claim to go to work, they're actually coming back to the real world so that they can work, so that they can supply whatever
Yeah.
the cost is for this simulation or whatever. Okay, so. Jack, the whole reason this is happening is Florence Pugh in the real world is a doctor. She's doing well. She's married to Harry Styles. He got laid off. He's not doing well. He's like becoming this like podcast obsessed right wing guy or whatever. So he decides to drug his doctor wife, lock her up in the bedroom, and keep her in the simulation, feeding her, wiping her ass, cleaning everything about her all of the time. She's gonna be dying because she's not gonna be moving at all, but she's in a coma basically.
She's malnourished. I'm sure she's a mess. Yeah, yeah.
So then Jack works at a shitty job because they live in a little shitty apartment. He has to pay to do this simulation. So the simulation can't cost that much because this guy doesn't have a job. Okay. So he's doing the simulation, which I guess is a beta experiment or whatever. He kidnaps his wife, who is a doctor at the local hospital, and then she's been kept in their apartment in the simulation 24 hours a day. How the fuck do the police not investigate this?
That is probably what I wanted from this movie. I mean, there's two things I wanted. One, I wanted sympathy for Jack's character. I wanted to feel he lost his job. Sure. He's down and out. Sure. His wife or girlfriend,
That's his wife.
his wife, they're married, is working 30-hour shifts as a surgeon. And he's like, I have no other options.
Okay.
I want like a coworker to knock on the door and him answer and like try to explain himself. I want a sister. Like Alice clearly has family, right? Clearly has coworkers.
Yeah, like she's a doctor. She's not like, a waitress somewhere.
That would have been the extra layer that this movie needed.
Big time.
But also with Jack, I wanted to feel one more ounce of sympathy. Like imagine he's handicapped and he can't work. He can't find work. Or imagine, like I'm trying to get this job. I'm really trying, Alice, but like they don't like it required me to be on my feet for 12 hours a day. I think that would have added an extra layer of why he did this. Because he seems very able-bodied. He had a job. Just find another fucking job, dude.
He's a lazy asshole, dude. She comes home from the
Yes.
hospital and he's like, I didn't eat because you didn't tell me you were in the OR. It's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it also is a knock on people that listen to podcasts. Like, hey, everyone listening, we're podcasters. But he's someone who's obsessed with podcasts because he's listening to Chris Pine talk on it, which makes you think maybe he is actually the ringleader.
He is, dude. And the other thing is, so Chris Pine is running this whole experiment, which again can't cost too much money because how could Harry Styles afford it and afford to feed his comatose girlfriend and do all that stuff? Like, that's a lot of money. So it can't cost that much. He has to pay his rent by himself now because his wife's not working anymore. The police have given up. You'd think the first thing they would say is, hey, where's Florence Pugh? Oh, I don't know. Hey, police, she's been missing. We have no idea where she is. Go check her apartment. They go to the apartment. She's locked up in the fucking bedroom. Like,
Maybe it's a not even their apartment anymore. Maybe it's an apartment owned by Victory and they keep everything hidden. We don't know, which is like why you got to keep asking questions about this film.
so then even worse, man. Then that's even worse. If this is all owned by Victory, then guess what? When the end, when it goes black or whatever, and we hear like the
She's gonna wake up in Victory.
she just wakes up right there. So it was all for nothing.
That's what. Well, also, we see her tied to the bed, so she's gonna wake up next to her dead husband.
Covered in shit and piss and dehydrated and not be able to walk because her legs haven't moved in however long it's been. Like, dude,
But don't forget who else is dead.
Harry Styles. And again, why only men?
No, no, no. Who else is dead?
Chris Pine.
Yes. So I'm thinking maybe the other woman who's finally turning it will help her. I don't know. And that's what makes this movie okay in my mind.
Okay, and here's the other thing. So only men can die in this movie, which makes absolutely no sense, but sure.
Well, what about Margaret? Didn't she die? The one who slit her throat?
That's what they claimed. But the line where they say, when you kill a man in this world, they die in real life. She didn't say when you kill somebody, when you kill a man in this world. So it made it seem like only men could die. I don't know if that's true.
No, I don't know. I think that's like humankind. Like one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Like I think when you kill a person,
Yeah, so she said that, and then yeah, with that logic, Harry Styles knows he can die in this world or whatever. And in the beginning, he's driving donuts in the desert in a shitty car, not a shitty car, but an old car with his wife or whatever.
that's probably the greatest point. Imagine it's like, shit, what the fuck happened? It's like, oh man. It's like, but he knows like there's no rocks
They
there.
could fucking
Who
die.
the fuck knows?
All right, so listen, we're wrapping up, but like, can you admit that the points that I've raised are at least like valid holes to a degree? That you have to fill in quite a bit.
Yes, it's Twilight Zone and like ambiguous as fuck, dude. I will admit that. I will admit that. I like this movie that made me think and maybe be like, it made me ask, like, was this a good movie? I liked it. I liked it. And it's not just Florence Pugh. I don't know. I liked it, but
Yeah.
it was there was I wish there was more. I wish there was that extra layer in the delivery.
15 more minutes. 15 more minutes.
Yeah, yeah, like show me the real world. Like give me like 10% of the real world
Yep,
more.
I agree.
And also this is our world, this is our time because they when they go to when Florence comes home from work, there's a LeBron James Wheaties box. So it's like, okay, we're in like our time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because it's like simulation stuff.
It's not like a futuristic world or anything, which
No,
it felt like one time at one point. But I like this movie, Alec. I'm sorry you didn't like it as much.
I didn't. Anyways, yeah, let's spin that old wheel.
Spinning. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening into our discussion on Don't Worry, Darling, and we'll see you next week with Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Woo!